Hello and welcome to Heroic Inspiration, my YouTube show where I talk about TTRPG stuff with my lovely guests. This week with me is someone who you should always consult before cooking any kind of fantasy beast. It's Gabriel from the Ugly Goblin.
That's great. Thank you. Hello.
Hello, how's it
That's
going, man?
fun. Good. Got COVID, but still pushing on. So if I'm a bit nasally, that's the reason.
I love how that's just I love that you can see the dead in my eyes that's not the case. I love how that's just a normal thing that can happen now.
Yeah, it's whatever. Fine.
Just casually got COVID and
I work
I'm
at home
working through
anyway.
it.
I'm not a liability.
It's awful. Anyway, we are here not to talk about the state of healthcare in the world, but to discuss TTRPGs, like I said. And with you specifically, the two things that come to mind are the Kickstarter you have and the fact that you've ended not only a campaign, but a whole world, basically, in your DMing.
I nuked it.
Yeah. So, as it's the freshest thing, pun intended, let's talk about the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, cool. Yeah, nice. I get the pun. It just hit. Yeah. So what do you got? What do we want to know specifically? Where will I start with it? Anything in particular?
Let's go for inspirations. What was the inspiration behind it all?
Okay,
give us a sale pitch first, in case people don't know. Actually, let's start with that. Let's start with a pitch for the book itself. First.
Okay, pitch. What it is I am making a fictional cookbook, so not a real cookbook, for Dungeons and Dragons that allows you to cook and eat any monster that exists, both in like homebrew things and all the monster manuals and everything else. It also has a bunch of unique ingredients that you can make your own cool meals with, and also recipe cards for regional specialities and things like that. There's a few other kind of ideas I have for potential what's it called, like milestones or stretch goals. But we'll see how we go first. But that's the basis. It's a book that allows you to hunt and eat monsters, some survival and hunting and fishing mechanics in there too, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
very, very cool.
That's the basis. But for the inspiration, I mean, it's kind of two things there, I suppose. For the theme, cooking has always been just a huge part of my life. When I was younger, I wanted to be a chef. I actually, when I went into high school, or the equivalent of high school, all the classes I took were all based around going to France and studying French cuisine, because that's what I wanted to be. Eventually, though, I figured that life of a chef was maybe too stressful for my kind of the lifestyle I wanted. Away from it, but I always, like, even now, that is something I love. I adore cooking for people I love, and I'm just constantly teaching myself new cooking techniques and everything else. So cooking is a huge part of my life, and always has been. But also, I want to dip my toes in the water of the Kickstarter world, because I do have some bigger projects I want to release in the coming few years. So this is my first playtest. I want to start with something small to get to know the whole Kickstarter environment. And also, in turn, hopefully all the money for this Kickstarter is going to go towards my fiance and I's wedding next year.
Nice.
So that's awesome. We're broke little artists. Like my fiance is still finishing her like master's course. Yeah. I'm a YouTuber, which is, everyone's like, oh, YouTuber money. No, I'm freelancer. No, very little money coming in here. So if we can raise a bit of money for a wedding in the process, that would be incredible. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell, I suppose.
Very, very cool.
You can end the interview there, I suppose.
End of interview. Do you feel like cooking is an important thing to have in TTRPGs?
So my argument, I suppose, why you should have this book in your games and use it in your games, food, I think, should always come up. Food, for me, sharing a meal with people is the best. As apart from playing games, sharing a meal with other people, and those are my two biggest things for getting to know people and spending time with people. I love to cook with people, and I love to play games with people. I love games as well, because you can get to know someone at their truest state, I think, when they're playing a game. You can't really hide anything about yourself when you're playing a game. which I love. But also food is a very, I mean, we've been doing it since we've been Unga Bunga cavemen and stuff, you know, sitting around a fire, cooking a meal together. So the amount of times you take a long rest, the amount of times you're traveling out in the wild as a hero, you know, look at even the small things like in Lord of the Rings where they share the elven bread. What's the actual name of the elven bread? Yes, Lembas bread. Things like that are just nice moments. They add a bit of fantasy to the world, but they give I suppose, like what's the word? A turning point, or you know, they give a central theme around, or like what's the word? I can't think of. There's a key word that I'm missing.
It grounds it.
It grounds a little moment of role play, you know, gives you something to do during a long rest. Or, you know, when you go into a tavern, the amount of times you go to a tavern, there can just be a few things, magic items that will also give you mechanical benefits on the menu. This is a great DM tool, so they can be like, okay, this meal is going to have this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient, and they can just have that on the menu. And it's just, these are the little things that I think immerse you in a fantasy world. When you see things like the Lembas bread, when you, it's like, oh, we're not just being served, you know, steak and chips in the tavern. We're being served a dinosaur steak with chips with like tree and truffle on top or something like that. You know, and that all of a sudden makes you feel like you're more in the world. And that's kind of what I want to go for. Or just even having a handy little book to come up with more magic items to give your party, you know. Instead of getting a magic sword, you get a beholder eye that if you cook it, it'll create an anti-magic circle around you all for ages or something like that. Fun, creative, more interesting and diverse magic items as well is kind of what I'm going for. So,
very cool. I think magic items and magical like buffs, temporary or otherwise, are so important in TTRPGs, and it's one of the things, I've done a video on this, that I constantly barrage my players with, because there's just so many of them, especially if you start looking at third-party sources. Like Griffin's Saddlebag is the de facto, like, I need magic items, here we go, source book.
Like my thing then with magic items, one thing, if I give magic items now, I've learned to give really strong magic items, because they'll continue using them throughout the whole campaign. In previous campaigns that I've run, I've given like a, you know, your classic, you know, Sting, isn't it, from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
That, you know, it detects orcs and stuff like that. That's very rarely going to come up, you know, and they eventually forget that's an item in their inventory. But Baldur's Gate taught me how important potions and consumables are, because you can just throw as many of those at your players as possible, and they're just going to use them because they're constantly getting them too. You shouldn't be sparing with them, but just keep giving them, keep them coming, and then you just get all these really fun scenarios all of a sudden in fights where they pull out, you know, invisibility potion or, you know, giant strength potion, and it adds a nice dynamic flair to each fight, as opposed to having a consistent magic item, say, that can maybe stop time once per fight. You know, that's something you're always going to do, but now all of a sudden you've got this unique potion, you've got an array of unique potions that are going to make that specific fight feel fresh and memorable. It's like, I remember when we ate the, I don't know, mimic's tongue, and you shapeshifted into a door and just started slamming people. Stuff like that, yeah. What I want to go.
Now, I consumable magic items are something I'm still kind of playing around with, but I gave my players a silver band that exploded with contact. It was a one-time use, and the player that had it was a fighter. He ended up in the mouth of a black dragon, and he was like, "Can I, like, just smash it on the inside of the dragon's mouth?" I was like, "Yeah, 100%. That's sick.
That's fun. That's really cool.
It's good to do. It's good to do." Have you looked at any of the other books that encourage cooking in D&D and beyond?
I've looked at a lot of things, a lot of recipes, and a lot of crafting books as well. What I've found, at least, there might be ones there that I've missed, but overall, it seems like people give you an item and they have specific ingredients on how to make that item.
Right.
If that makes sense. That's what I've noticed a lot of. So it's like, this is the thing that you can make. And it needs, you know, blood of a vampire. It needs bones of this specific monster and everything else. What I want to do, and I maybe this is already done, and it's I've missed it, but I thought this was a unique take on it, where it's more broad. I have unique things too, But the whole basis I want to go for is giving the creativity and the crafting process to the players, give them more agency in it. So I've got tables that are all based off of unique monster types. So if you kill an aberration, you can harvest materials from that aberration and you could cook it up into a variety of different features based on how well you process the meal or how poorly you process the meal, because also processing it poorly will give you other effects, whereas good rolls on cooking checks will give you other, maybe potentially stronger ones, but maybe not ones that you want. So by doing that, I think it makes it broader. It allows it to be very versatile too. So now it's like, okay, you can start bringing in, say you're a person, like I feel like when you've played D&D for a long time with veteran players, you stop using the monster manual and you just exclusively use homebrew content or third-party content, right? So it allows you to bring in stuff from Drakkenheim as well, and then they are still going to be relevant as cooking materials.
Because of the creature type,
because it's exclusively based on the creature type, which is baked into the core features of Dungeons and Dragons rather than individual kind of things or stories. And individual things are cool, and that's what the kind of regional recipe cards are for. So if you want to go do that and hunt down a list, that's there. But the core features for the cooking mechanics are much more generic. And I think as well that captures what I love about cooking far more, where for me, cooking is playing with your food and seeing what you if I throw a bit of this in there, throw a bit of that in there, we'll see what we get. So all these effects can stack up to when you make a meal. So it's like, we'll add a bit of aberration. We're going to add some, gelatinous cube pieces. And then you, as the player, get to describe what that looks like on the plate, also based on how well you've prepared it. Is it going to look like a beautiful, delicious meal, or is it going to be like a burnt heap of brown sludge, like
the classic anime death
Zelda?
Sludge.
Yeah, like it's pixelated out. So that's what I want to capture with this book. But then also I have unique ingredients too in there from specific monsters. So I have things like a beholder's eye, or I have gelatinous cube pieces, and each of those individual ingredients can be prepared into a special small thing as well. So I've got yellow ochre jelly, or pudding or cream, basically yellow ochre cream that can be whisked up with sugar to make meringues. And those meringues will give you a specific benefit. So they have like mini recipes in there too.
Very, very cool.
So yeah, that's the vibe.
Have you been using this with your players?
A little bit. We've been play testing it a bit. I also kind of will just add it in there. What I've been using it a lot as, which has been nice, is I will give them, when they go and hunt these things down, or when they defeat a monster, I'll give them, a beholder eye, or even in a chest or in an alchemist hut, they'll find some of these unique individual ingredients and stuff like that. And I'll tell them if they want, at some stage, you can cook them up into specific meals. We've done it a few times and they like it a lot. And what we're using, actually, I've got an expanded crafting system. This is actually a part of a much greater crafting system that I have for a class of skill tree that I'm designing, which involves smithing as well. It involves alchemy, rune craft, all these other things. So it follows the same process of harvesting generic materials from creatures and cooking them into different crafts, like consumables or permanent items and things. So they don't always cook them. They might turn them into a sword or a potion or whatever.
Yeah. I've never considered giving monster parts in shops and stuff, which is ridiculous because I do use crafting systems in a lot of my games. And I don't know why that's just never crossed my mind.
That's something they're constantly doing actually now, because I've added crafting. They're not hunting down monsters like I thought they would be. They're not going to be like, well, let's go out and hunt whatever. They're going to a guy who can source them things. And they love going to this one shopkeep again and again, which is fun. I love having a good, consistent shopkeep. And it's fun in the moment being like, hey, can I have I need some aberration pieces. What have you got? And it's like, he just brings out like eyeballs and tongues and stuff like that. And that's what they're spending most of their money on.
Long.
Yeah.
Warp your mind.
Like literally just in the other session, they bought a pile of poo from this guy. Like that's what they're spending their money. Classic. I think they spent like 250 gold on a pile of poo.
TTRPGs.
Oh yeah, adventures are weird. I love
They're
adventures.
so strange. One of mine has currently got a real bugbear against an NPC, and none of us can really figure out why, apart from the player just being like, I don't know, the character just gets bad vibes. Okay.
Yeah, and they also work on like a totally different like economy to every other person.
Yes.
Like for example, like 250 gold in my mind, that's like, 250 pounds or 250 euros or dollars or whatever. Oh no, sorry, 2,500 is what I see it as, which is an insane amount of money to be spending on a piece of poo or like a potion or something.
Yeah, no, the economy stuff's wild, because if you give a gold coin to a commoner in D&D, you've like, they can retire nearly in a standard village. And the adventurers are like, oh, I've only got like 3,000 platinum pieces. I don't know if this is really enough. And it's like, you are richer than God.
Yeah. They're buying like Ferrari equivalent to a sword. Like,
have you seen my Bugatti ring?
Yeah.
Do you need that? It lights up. Okay, that's cool, but like, you spent 4,000 gold on
AC? It. What is AC? What does that mean?
I always adore having in-game conversations about the mechanics that the character shouldn't know. So like having an NPC to be like, oh well, no, I couldn't do that because I've used up all my spell slots, so I needed to I needed to sleep before I had and I haven't had a chance because I was being harassed by trolls.
It's always like a fun, like that would happen though naturally if you were in that world. You would come up with these phrases and sayings and stuff. It's like I've definitely given like myself definitely a +1 to that AC or whatever. It's like what?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like my hit points have gotten higher. What do you mean? You're the same. You're exactly the same amount of person you were before.
No, punch me. I could take one more. You punched me 10 times last time. I bet I can take 11.
Oh no, that was an extra hard punch that hit me harder for some reason. I guess I can't.
Whoa. I was considering averages here.
Whoa. When did you add an extra D6 of damage to your punch? This is ridiculous. Surprise! You didn't surprise me. Wait, why have I taken more damage? That's because Daniel was standing behind you. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah. What is this world?
You can't think about it for too long. Like in game, just we like to give the characters nosebleeds whenever anything like that happens. Whenever any jokes like that happen.
Yeah, they've processed some kind of eldritch knowledge or something. Yeah.
We had to pause a fight to have a massive rules discussion a couple sessions ago. About whether entering an emanation included at the start of the turn. And it was like, well, no, because if you start in it, then you haven't entered it. And we literally stopped the combat for this for all of us to discuss the ins and out of these logs. And I was like, all the characters are just like pale white eyes, nosebleeds.
That's brilliant.
Rules, man.
Love it. Yeah, speaking of rules, No, you're going.
No, go on. You were going to segue. No, but you were going to segue. Do it.
I was going to segue. And speaking of rules, with the TTRPG I've been writing at the moment, we're playing little bits of it right now in the second campaign I've started. But making a new TTRPG that's kind of simpler mechanics wise than D&D. I keep going back to D&D now, and it was just the other day. Like I've got these I say newer players, but I've been playing with them for 5 years. But they I've given up now at the stage that they are new players. They just don't get the rules. I repeat every time we roll initiative. They're like, "What do I add to initiative again?" That's the guy, which is fine. They're fantastic players, but the maths just all goes over the head.
No numbers,
but it's been a while since I've. For example, because I'm playing with classes systems now with another one of my games, we went back to these level 17 characters and they were like, okay, so how many spell slots do I have that are multi-class? Like I'm a bard, but I'm also a cleric and I'm also this. And it took me a minute to find out. And I was like, God, D&D, why your rules suck so much? Why is it so messy? And originally I was like, yeah, it's simple enough. But now trying out so many other TTRPGs and experimenting with them to develop my own, I'm like, there's so many unnecessary things. It reminds me a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you've played Yu-Gi-Oh!
I have.
Yeah, so there's, all the time, you're like, oh, the nostalgia, let's play Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. I'll play with my friend, we'll sit down, and it's like, okay, it's my turn. It's like, okay, wait, give me like 20 minutes. I just
Yeah.
got to read through the walls of text.
You need
here
like
for,
3
like,
PhDs to play Yu-Gi-Oh! now.
you need a lawyer's degree. Yeah, you need a degree in law to like understand all the clauses and ifs and buts and
Yeah, need to make it one
everything
phone
else.
call to help you out with the card you're
Yeah,
reading. What does this one
can
do?
I phone a friend?
What's a synchro summon? Why does it have the word pendulum on it? Do I just have to swing it as I play it? No.
Yeah. No, it's just mad. It goes so deep. But D&D feels like a little bit like that sometimes. Like, you know, where they're, you know, spending however long out of combat to like double check how this specific ability works in this situation, which it can ruin the momentum sometimes. I as much as I adore D&D, I do this all out of love, that I get frustrated with it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't criticize things you don't love because you just don't talk about them most of the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
that's
true.
Criticism comes in, and it's a key thing that people miss about criticism is that the vast majority of the time you're talking about the stuff because you really like it. You're just like, this one thing.
Yeah, it's like disappointed parent vibes. It's like, I just know you've got so much, but you can be better than this, you know?
You stop talking about spell slots and maybe just gave yourself a mana bar, we'd be able to do this in a much simpler manner.
Right? I love mana bar. That's what people know. That's what's in video games. That's in common pop culture now.
Common parlance. Yeah,
but they'll make the old school players sad if they get rid of spell slots. So, you know, there's that fine balance of, you know, pleasing past and present when you're as big as D&D. But yeah,
you're constantly towing the line between 7,000 different things because there are so many people who play D&D now.
Yeah.
That it's impossible to please everyone.
You know, I also will compare it to things like, you know, Pokemon, for example. It's so frustrating that Pokemon very rarely will mix up the system that they've got, but they're as successful as they are because in comparison to Digimon that changed up how things work almost every season, Digimon fell behind, whereas Pokemon just is now one of the biggest franchises, I think, in the world.
I think it's one of the best earning IPs ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was looking up them recently. That's a crazy thing to look up, as well as IPs of different names and stuff. But I digress.
It really, but it is, especially when you compare like the most recent games, Scarlet and Violet, which are
they're trash. They're so bad. They get worse. They get worse as they
awful. And awful. I got the Switch 2. I'm playing the Switch 2 upgraded version, and it's like, so it can run smoothly. This is what it would look like if it worked, but it still looks awful because they're still using like the flattest textures in existence.
I've watched a video now breaking down the latest one. You know, the Z, is it? You know,
ZA,
something like
the one
that.
That's
Something like that. Yeah. So they've solved that problem, but how they've solved it is crazy. So, you know, before you would have like a little bit of a balcony coming out. You do have the like flat PNGs of the windows and stuff. A little bit of a 3D element. You know, there's a little balcony, little flower tops and stuff. They've just now smashed that all into one flat texture. So when you look at a building, it is just there's no depth. It's just a flat picture of a balcony on the thing. I should send you the video of this guy breaking down the whole thing.
It's gonna make me sad.
It made me very sad. I was dumbfounded. I was like, oh my god. So your way to improve this problem is to just make it worse.
It feels like it's a psyop to see how much Pokemon fans will put up with. Genuinely.
Yeah. It's like it's the worst. It's like the ultimate toxic relationship. And I have the same relationship with the Kingdom Hearts. I stopped playing the games. I when it came to the third one, I just started watching all the videos, basically these 6-hour videos of all the cutscenes put together. I was watching it. I was like, this is the worst thing ever with Kingdom Hearts 3. I was like, this is so boring. I hate it. At the very end, maybe the last 20 minutes, I cried then. I was like, they got me. Well, how did they do this? What the hell? And now I'm back in the loop again. Now I'm committed to seeing the story out.
It's like a bad TTRPG session where nothing happens and then right at the end, there's just enough to keep you coming back.
Yeah.
Awful. That was a digression. But
sorry.
Let's switch gears and let's talk about the fact that you've not only ended a campaign, but a whole world and how that came about.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's crazy. Yeah, so 7-year-long campaign started as a series of one-shots, as most long campaigns do. And That's how it would go. I'd be building a story,
Mm.
and I have the conclusion. They eventually get there. They beat the BBEG, but they want to keep playing because they're like, "This is so much fun. We're having so much fun with these characters." And we've been playing for so long. By the end of after 7 years, I kept thinking like, "Okay, when do you want this to end?" Eventually, this is the best thing you can do to your players as well, is ask them, "What do you see the ending being?"
Yeah.
Where do you see their story going? Because that's fantastic as a DM, just because it's a collaborative experience in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the end, they were like, well, we want to go fight God at this stage. They wanted, the thing is, never in our lives will we maybe get to this point again.
Yeah.
Like getting past level 20, at that stage, you might as well do everything that you would ever want to. Because when are you going to get to that high level again and be that close to fighting the God of all existence? So, and he had been like an integral antagonistic force throughout this whole story. There's a whole background thing that was going on. He has all these eyes. He's known as the Dreamer. If you gather all these relics together in one place, he will wake up, and because he has dreamt up reality, basically, he's gone to sleep, and the entire universe is his dream.
Right.
So when he wakes up, everything starts disappearing. And that's the point we got to in the very end. All these eyes had been gathered. So now they got on a spaceship and started traveling away from the disappearing reality towards the end of all existence, where he is, fighting angels and planets along the way. They literally fought a planet. And then eventually got to him. And in the end, like I said, this campaign had been going on for 7 years, past level 20. They were going to fight a thing that has created all reality. So there was no outcome could I, in my head, rationally come up with how this campaign ends that would be satisfying. It's like a classic thing. When a TV show goes on forever, it's so hard to conclude it, to wrap it up. You're coming up with your own theories and stuff like that. And so often when you watch a series, you'll be a little disappointed. Very rarely, these are the best series, are the ones that can end, that do have an ending, and manage to still satisfy you and every kind of tick in the box. So in the end, when they finally reached this God of everything, I asked them, this thing is so hard to comprehend. This creature is that's just an Eldritch Horror. It's the ultimate Cthulhu mythos kind of creature. So I asked them, what fragment, what tiny part of this creature can you comprehend, and how do you comprehend it? How does your brain comprehend this aspect of them? So I asked them all to describe an aspect of this God that they see. And it was beautiful in the end. The collection of all these descriptions basically painted a picture that this was a God who kind of, in the end of the day, was just kind of a man. Anyone could have been in their position, and they have existed in a place where they comprehend every single aspect of reality all at once, all the time. And they're just done. They just wanted to wake up because they're tired and they don't want to deal with this anymore. There were someone, it was interesting because a lot of the players as well have dealt with really strong moments of depression as well. So this hit home really, really hard, where he was just a very depressed individual, just didn't want to keep going. That's what they saw. It was this vulnerable God who just wanted to wake up and wanted everything to end. But the thing is, the cycle goes, he wakes up and now there's nothing around him. Now he's just in a void. And so eventually he goes back to sleep and experiences it all again. Which is why at one stage the gods ripped out his eyes and then chucked them away so he couldn't wake up, because that's how mythology logic works. If you don't have eyes, you can't wake up. You can't open them.
Makes perfect sense.
So they all then decided in that moment what they would do to change this, how they would change it around. So one of the characters who had basically been building up, he was a robot. He was a human that became a robot, that became kind of like a weird Akira creature who was basically turning into a god himself at this stage. He decided to take his position because he doesn't have emotions. He wouldn't feel bad. He is just the processor for the world. So he's like, I'm going to step in for your position, so you don't have to do this anymore. They also were like, okay, we're going to reincarnate you in this world so you can just be a person in it. You never have to think about moving every single blade of grass in the universe. you can just be there and watch the grass move. So that was really beautiful. So he's a character somewhere in the world. Another person gave up all of their strength, all of their powers that they had ever gained up until this point to that world. So she brought herself back to level 1. Reverted back to like a level 1 character. Her whole shtick was she was a magical wizard and all that stuff. They all had beautiful arcs, and it was just this amazing thing where they told the ending of the campaign, and it was as satisfying as you could get. Then they rebuilt this new world of Gostar. They blew up the old one. The old one was destroyed, but they all decided what this new one is going to be, and it's kind of the same as it was, but a lot of the things have been refreshed, a new coat of paint, and with these new additions they've all made. So that's it in a summary. Yeah, I suppose.
That's sick. It's impressive enough that you ended the campaign, let alone that you did it in such a fantastic way.
That is a win alone. Yeah, if you can end a campaign, that's what we all want to achieve.
How many sessions was it? Do you know?
I lost count. Definitely beyond 100, maybe 200. I don't know. And a lot of these things as well, we'd have gaps maybe of a few months between things and stuff like that. But no clue. I was keeping track at one point. When they were level maybe 8, we were at 40.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. Close to 200, I'd say.
That's wild. I finished a 6-session campaign. That was very reasonable because it was 6 sessions.
That's fantastic.
And I'm just over halfway through my current one, and we're at 24 sessions. So I'm anticipating.
I love compact campaigns where you can just be like, it's just a nice bite-sized chunk, and yeah, you can really throw a lot into that to make it really dense.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you're only playing once a week, like a 40-session campaign is still most of a year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there's lots of character classes and like concepts to play around with.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to close the window because I can hear someone
It's all good.
hanging around outside.
Wonderful stuff. Is there anything coming up that you want to talk about apart from the Kickstarter?
Let me think. I suppose a big fun thing, like I mentioned, was a TTRPG I'm designing, which has been very fun. I don't know if I'm going to go into all the depth of that now, but next year I'm hoping, if this Kickstarter goes well, I might not release the TTRPG, but I'll be definitely releasing the D&D equivalent of it, which is a whole class of skill tree, which is going to be very fun. Anything else? Yeah, this new system though is called Goblins. The 2d6 system, much more simple, much more lower numbers, but I like to compare it to like if D&D is chess, where there's lots of complicated maneuvers and things like that, individual classes. This is more like Go. I think actually you've talked to Peter a lot on the channel, right? He made a great video on this comparing those two things, like where chess is like, you've got the mechanical depth, and it's like, is something with more mechanics and more rules is it a better game if it's more complex? And compared to checkers, chess is a better game. There's a lot more rules, there's a lot more meat to it. So that's like, comparing kind of in a way D&D and Pathfinder there. Pathfinder's even more rules heavy and stuff like that. But then if you look at Go, which you can explain the game in one sentence. I can't remember the numbers exactly, but he basically said, it took something like 10 years for the best computer to like beat the best chess player in the world, whereas it took maybe 40 years or something like that for the computer to beat the best Go player in the world, because there are so many different options and directions and maneuvers that you can use, even though the rules are I put piece down and that's it. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for, is that ease of play, easy to like get into, but like has a very deep you can go as deep as you want with the rules and customization mechanics and stuff.
Very, very cool.
That's my aim. But
all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for finding time for this. It is appreciated, especially when you're not feeling very well.
No problem at all.
Hope you feel better soon. How do you want to sign off?
I don't want to sign off. I don't know. Oh, we have to come up with something. I like the finger guns thing. In my world, finger guns is actually like a tribal gesture that this one tribe does, so I'm cool with that.
We can finger guns. You ready?
Cool. Let's finger guns.